Souma is paralyzed, completely shocked that someone as beautiful as Mafuyu would make such a bold move. He reflects on how dramatic his life has become, briefly thinking of Shizuka, but Mafuyu snaps him back to reality with a sweet, expectant expression. Souma is so nervous he starts rambling, but Mafuyu just laughs. Her genuine laughter puts Souma at ease, and he feels a wave of relief. She apologizes for laughing, clearly happy that Souma is willing to be close to her again. There's a flicker of hidden emotion on her face, something she's not quite ready to share. But she hides it behind a bright, happy smile that makes Suma's heart skip a beat. Later that evening, the scene shifts to Suma's apartment. Shizuka is enjoying a home-cooked dinner, and Souma is acting like a parent, reminding her to eat her vegetables. Souma is exhausted, his mind racing between Mafuyu's confession and Shizuka's presence. He tries to convince himself that Shizuka is just his Oshi and his neighbor, but he can't deny that eating together feels exactly like living with someone he loves. He stares at her, catches himself, and almost chokes on his food. To hide his embarrassment, he turns on some DVDs of his other Oshi, Hyorin. As Hyorin's voice and beauty fill the room, Souma can't stop praising her. He's so caught up in the moment he doesn't notice Shizuka watching him with a look of genuine sadness. She's hurt that she isn't his only Oshi. When Souma finally realizes his mistake, he's stunned. Shizuka quickly pivots, telling him a new tenant is moving into the building. Souma secretly hopes it's another real-life idol, while Shizuka hopes for a handsome man. They tease each other back and forth over chat. Soon after, Shizuka texts him, "The moving truck is here. Help me?" Souma remembers the disaster of her own move-in and flatly refuses, telling her the professionals can handle it. He warns her the new person might be suspicious, but she's already out the door. 5 minutes later, she texts that something is wrong, only to follow it up with, "Just kidding." Exhausted from staying up late watching Dorikura, Souma falls asleep on his sofa. He drifts into a surreal dream. A woman asks if the food is ready. It's Henrietta. Then Shizuka asks if he's okay. Then Mafuyu asks the same thing. Souma is overwhelmed to see all three of them there, and then Hiyori appears from behind, offering him a bite of food with a playful smile. "Wait!" Souma cries out. "They're all watching!" Suddenly, the real world intrudes. The sound of the doorbell jars him awake. He stumbles to the door, still groggy, and pulls it open. His heart stops. That voice, that face, there's no doubt about it. Standing right there is the voice actress and idol Yatsumi Hiyori. Hiyori introduces herself as the new neighbor who just moved in across the hall. Souma is still in a daze, but he manages to ask, "Are you the voice actress Yatsuzumi Hiyori?" She beams, confirming it, and Souma, unable to contain himself, explodes with fanboy excitement. He's worried he's making her uncomfortable, but Hiyori just gives him a soft, appreciative smile that leaves him totally spellbound. From the shadows, Shizuka watches with a look of pure concern. When Hiyori spots her, she calls her over. The two formal rivals meet, and as Shizuka mentions Souma, she realizes Hiyori is treating him with strange, casual familiarity. Hiyori explains it's because he's her Oshi. Shizuka, feeling a spike of jealousy, retorts, "He's my Oshi too." Hiyori's eyes go wide. "Wait, who is your Oshi?" When Shizuka reveals she is Henrietta from Virtual Era, Hiyori turns into her biggest fan, gushing about how she watched her 24-hour streams. The two instantly hit it off, and Souma is just grateful that his two worlds are colliding so peacefully. Days later, Souma spots a Hiyori photo album at a bookstore. He's tempted to buy it, feeling a bit immoral, when Hiyori herself appears behind him. She catches him red-handed, but instead of being weirded out, she thanks him for supporting her work. Her genuine gratitude makes Souma feel like he's walking on air. That night, Souma and Shizuka share dinner. Souma can't stop gushing about Hiyori, oblivious to the fact that Shizuka is sitting right in front of him, feeling completely invisible and depressed. She's a fool, she thinks, for being happy that he called her his Oshi earlier. But Souma notices her mood and feeds her a piece of food, telling her to stay energized for her stream. It works. Shizuka glows with happiness, though she's still a bit stung that Souma likes Hiyori's cooking too. As Shizuka leaves, they run into Hiyori. They invite her to dinner the next day, and after some emotional blackmail that forces Souma to share his contact info, they form a ruin group chat. Souma is floating on cloud 9 the next evening. The feast is ready. The table is set, the food looks professional, and both idols are hungry. But disaster strikes. Shizuka gets an urgent message from her manager. A photo shoot, right now. She bolts out the door, leaving Souma alone with Hiyori. Hiyori doesn't mind. She takes a bite of the food and her eyes light up. She pulls out a bottle of alcohol, asking for a glass. As Souma goes to the kitchen, he's still pinching himself, convinced he's dreaming. When he returns to the table, both start drinking, and after some time, the mood is shifted entirely. He finds himself pinned to the sofa. Hiyori is no longer the sweet, appreciative idol. She's looking down at him with an intense, heated gaze. After a few drinks, her composure has vanished, replaced by something much more dangerous. She leans in, her breath smelling of alcohol, and whispers, "Just let yourself go." Souma stands frozen, trying to process how the night spiraled from a happy dinner to a special moment with Hiyori. He recalls the sequence. Hiyori had been drinking excessively, over 10 cans of beer. When he tried to confiscate her drink, she grew depressed, so he told her to rest on the sofa. As he struggled to settle her down, she playfully tackled him onto the couch. Souma felt trapped. His hand was pressed against her thigh, and he could see some skin, making him unable to move. Hiyori demanded he prepare himself, and began playfully pinching his cheeks. When Souma complained it hurt, she refused to stop, revealing her nature as a violent drunk. Souma managed to pull away and run, but Hiyori hunted him down, shouting that it was punishment time, and pinned him with tickles. The struggle stopped abruptly when she spotted his laptop wallpaper, a photo of her in a swimsuit. Souma, mortified, frantically explained that it was a bonus from her photo book. Hiyori went silent. She looked at him and muttered that she'd felt embarrassed when she saw someone she knew purchasing that book. Souma whispered that she hadn't shown any sign of embarrassment at the time. She snapped at him for not hearing her, turning away in a mock sulk. When he checked on her, she grinned. It was all a joke. She then leaned in, asking if he liked those types of photos, noting that fan feedback is essential. Souma refused to answer, joking that he'd forget it by tomorrow. Hiyori began to stumble over her words, reminiscing about working hard on the costumes. Souma realized they were getting dangerously close. She placed her hands on his face to trap him, leaning in for a kiss. But at that exact second, his phone rang. It was Shizuka, calling to say her photo shoot was over and asking for food. Souma answered, flustered. When he turned back, Hiyori had fallen fast asleep. Souma felt a mix of relief and disappointment. Later, when Shizuka arrived, she enjoyed the cold leftovers without complaint. She requested Courage for the next meal. Souma pondered how both his Oshis had hidden sides. Shizuka's messiness versus her idle grace, and Hiyori's professional exterior versus her drunken playfulness. When Hiyori woke up and apologized for the disturbance, Souma denied everything, even though Shizuka sensed something was wrong. Souma decided to keep the near kiss a secret in his heart. The next day, Souma went to buy ingredients for the Courage. By pure chance, he ran into Shizuka first, and then Hiyori. Shizuka told Hiyori they were going to have karage, and Hiyori immediately began planning how much she would drink. Shizuka suggested that since they were all together, they should head straight to Souma's place. Souma, thinking his life was at its absolute peak, happily agreed. Suddenly, someone called his name. It was Mafuyu. Shizuka, Hiyori, and Souma turned around. Souma remembered the last time he saw her at the institute. She had laughed that day, so he assumed everything was fine. But Mafuyu's expression was dark and somber. She demanded that he explain everything. The scene shifted to his room. Souma stood in the middle of the chaos, Shizuka to his left, looking at Mafuyu with a jealous, "Who is this other woman?" expression, Hiyori to his right, and Mafuyu standing directly in front of him, looking at him with the cold, judgmental glare of a judge. Souma is dead center, trapped. He is officially in deep trouble. The atmosphere in the room is electric. When asked who the intruder is, she introduces herself as Minase Mafuyu, Suma's younger sister. He tries to flatly deny it, but she doubles down on the title, only making things more complicated. Shizuka, never one to hold back, instantly proclaims herself Mafuyu's One-san, though Souma secretly thinks that role would suit Hiyori much better. Mafuyu, visibly annoyed by the distractions, demands to get back to the point. Hiyori summarizes the current situation while Shizuka questions why their first encounter felt like stepping onto a battlefield. When attempting to explain their shared history, Suma's sister breaks down and through tears calls him a cheater. The impact is total. All three are left in shock, and for a moment the girls unite to comfort the supposed victim. Desperate, Souma begs for a chance to clear up the misunderstanding. Once the tension subsides, she realizes the only reason they've gathered is for a home-cooked meal, not because they're bad people. With that cleared up, the others introduce themselves properly. Learning they are just neighbors leaves her relieved, and she apologizes for assuming the worst. With the air finally clear, she asks to taste his cooking. After getting the green light from the others, he gets to work on his specialty, Karaj. While he cooks, the apron he's wearing catches everyone's eye. Hiyori is the first to compliment how it looks on him, and Shizuka agrees immediately. Mafuyu, however, cuts the moment short, ordering them to stop staring at him without permission. Finally, they all try the dish and are blown away. When the last piece is left, she hesitates. Shizuka asks if she burned her tongue, but the reality is simpler. She's sad she hasn't been able to eat with him as long as the others have. Taking the lead, he invites her to join their dinners whenever she likes, and the others wholeheartedly agree. The more, the merrier. To seal the pact, Shizuka suggests adding her to their group chat, but they realize it doesn't have a name yet. Souma Kai is the chosen proposal. Even though he protests that it sounds like a criminal organization, the three of them are unanimous, so the name sticks. To celebrate, Hiyori offers some drinks, but noting that the youngest is underage, they keep it to the adults while the night continues. The Karaj disappears quickly, thanks mostly to Shizuka's appetite. Souma, feeling relaxed and observing the warmth of the group, makes a fatal mistake. In a moment of vulnerability, he whispers, "It feels like a dream to be surrounded by my number one Oshis." Silence falls over the table. The three of them lock eyes, and instantly they fire the question he fears the most. "Then, who's your number one Oshi?"